and I'll be forever grateful for this man. Andy, come on up, buddy. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Joe, for asking me. It's a pleasure and it's an honor for me to be here today. I came up with the time in AA when it was told to me that it was an honor to be asked to do anything for AA. I still believe that today, so thank you all for having me. I am a member of the Chamber Group. I'm a member in good standing. We meet up on Campground Road off of Highway 16 on Tuesday night and Friday night at 8 o'clock and Sunday mornings at 8 o'clock. So if you're ever up around Lake Norman on the west side, come on up and see us. You know, there's a whole crew back in there. You can meet, decide from there whether you want to be a part of that or not. I can't say otherwise. But you know, when I first got sober, my sponsor and I, we sat down and we went through the first 2 steps, and I found out I was a perfectionist. I didn't know that. And I perfectly worked the first step, and went on to perfectly work the second step, and then I got to step 3, and he stopped me. And he opened up the big book to the 3rd step prayer, and he said, I want you to take a minute and look this over, and we'll come back and get out on our knees and pray. You know. So we did. And a few minutes later, he come back. And we got out on our knees, and I don't remember exactly what I said, but it was something like this. My Creator, I offer myself to you to do with as you see fit. You know, believe in Him and bondage of self, so the victory over these difficulties might bear witness to those I might help to serve your way of life. Amen. Now, for those of you that don't believe that God wants to talk to you, see me after the meeting, because the very next thing we heard was what an order. I can't go through with it. I'm an alcoholic. My name is Andy Reese. I'm very grateful to be here tonight. It's Camping tonight, this afternoon, as a result of the 12-step program of recovery, the fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, and the grace of God that I am today. And for that, I will be forever. I'm supposed to tell you in general way what I was like, what happened to me, what I'm like now. What happened to me was this. On July 12, 1989, something had to give. Something had to give, and something had to give. I'd been drinking, I'd been on one safari. I left this, July 12th was a Wednesday. And I'd been gone since Friday, the following Friday. And I was working my way home. And I discovered that no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't get drunk anymore. And no matter how hard I tried, I could not drink. So there I am. I can't get drunk and I can't not drink. And the big book described that. It said our friends felt like he was staring at the gates of hell. That's where I found myself at. One foot in, one foot out. I can't drink, I can't get drunk. And I went to the only place, I'm 29 years old, I went to the only place that said you could come back. The only place. And that was Alcoholics Anonymous. But you see, I've been hanging around Alcoholics Anonymous for a couple months before that, and they were the only people I ever met that said, come back, you know. Come back. Because up until that point, everybody said, don't come in here, we'll call the police. Or do you remember what you did last night? And of course not, I'm in the black guy. I can't argue with you. I don't know it. I ain't gonna argue it. I have to take their word. This is what happened, you know. It seemed like what they said, what I remember, were always different too. You know, I mean, I don't know if any of y'all have read that problem. I just want to be left alone so I can drink, you know. And people always mess with me, want me to quit drinking and stop and do this and do that and do that, you know. But I learned something. If you pick up a chair and beat somebody in the head with a chair, they'll leave you alone. You can drink the way you want to. So that's the way I do it, you know. Another thing that I was pretty good about doing when I drank it's not good to be on the first name basis with the judge. I can tell you that. That's not a good place to be. And I was, every Saturday, every Sunday morning, we had the same conversation. He'd come in and I'd be on one side of the bars and he'd be on the other side. He was on the side that you could come in and out. I was on the side where they lock you in until they're ready to come get you, And he would say things like, did we just have this conversation last Sunday? And I'd say, well, it's like this, I was just, wrong place at the wrong time, or just something like that, whatever. And he plays a major part, and one of the reasons I'm here today is because of that judge. His name was E3. One day I was sitting in his courtroom, and this is what he said. He stopped the court and had that big old man tap me on the shoulder, and he said, come with me, boy. And I'm like, wait a minute, this ain't right. You're supposed to see the judge, and then you come get me. You're not supposed to come get me until after I see the judge. He said, you just come with me here. So we go back in there and see the judge. The old judge, he looked at me and he said, boy, he said, if I ever lay eyes on you again, I'm going to lock you up for a long time. Which is another reason I'm in North Carolina, because that particular day I believed that judge. I did, And I left Florida. I went to South Florida. Don't get cold in Florida. I don't like cold. I've been here over 30 something years, and I still don't like winter time. Winter time is awful. I don't like it. I like summer. But anyway, that's what happened to me. I got this pirate watch here. Everybody see this? Everybody see it? My buddy Lee got that because he said I'm bad to go over, so I'm going to go ahead and open it up now and hold it in my hand. Alan's back there and he's going to get up and have a piss at me like it's about 3 minutes before. He was starting up and down. So, we don't want that to happen. But anyway, I grew up in South Florida. I was born here in Charlotte. And my father's health caused us to move to South Florida. I was actually raised in South Florida. And my mother died when I was very young. I don't remember my mother at all. Barely remember at all. But my dad played a big part of the story because he was the boss man. And that's the way he raised us. We were employees, We were kind of like live-in hell, He was the boss. Everybody called him Mr. Reese, too. I never heard anybody call him, everybody called him Mr. Reese, I remember getting older and my kids' friends would come out and they'd say Mr. Reese, and I'd turn around to look and see where you're at, But we worked. He taught us how to work. He was a big believer in I don't mind the little workshop. We didn't have much free time when we were growing up. We worked every day, all day. Remember, one of those adventures in Florida is he bought a motel, 36-unit motel, and that's what I did all weekend. I washed sheets and towels all weekend, all weekends off. On my buddies would get tired, then I'll tell you what, I worked all summer one year for a 10-speed bicycle, got it like 2 weeks before school started, And I was washing sheets one Sunday and had that brand new bicycle. And he said, that's it for today, man. I hate that thing running. We didn't come home until 5:30. Now the summertime. We stayed gone, You didn't tell my dad we didn't have nothing to do. He'd line me out for a couple of weeks, One of his adventures was he bought a 5-acre little farm, orange grove, grapefruit. He sold grapefruit. Roadside fruit stand. I remember getting off the bus, coming in, and you can hear him holler, "Get change, boys, I got stuff for you to do." And he'd hand us a list of grapefruit to go pick, We was out there in the dark picking grapefruit, And I'm 65 in September. I was about 14 in that height, so we could safely say 50 years have gone by. They ain't any grapefruit thing. standing just the thing, you know what I mean? But that's the way it was around our house. We worked, you know. We worked all the time with every day. And today I'm grateful for that because when I went out and do that, nobody had to teach me how to work. I already knew how to work. I didn't know nothing about nothing, but I knew how to work. You know? And I got that from my dad. I worked that today to teach straight back to my father. You know? I still try to do what he taught me to do even today. I remember what he said. You know? You make sure you give a man an honest day's work if he's paying you an honest day's pay. You know? I remember that. You know? I think about that every day. He would say if this work's doing, do it right. I remember that. You know? I try to teach my boys that. You know? But I remember when he had that motel, there were truck drivers that would come down and they get first and they won't drink the liquor. And I'm kind of grateful for that in a couple of reasons, because one is there was a hotel and then a farmer's market and then the liquor store was right next to the farmer's market. If them guys would have looked out the window, they would have seen the liquor store, but they didn't. And my dad being the guy he was, he would say, don't worry about it, I'll take care of everything. He would call me in there, give me a handful of money, and I'd go across the street, up to the drive-in window and give the lady the money. She'd hand me a bag, I'd take it to wherever he told me to take it to. And I want you to know, when I knock on that door, there was some happy bells waiting on me. I guarantee you that wasn't happening when I knocked on that door. And they tipped real good too, I remember that, you know. I remember that, they tipped real well. But we started drinking like that, and I think one weekend, we went over there and got a six-pack split between three of us, you know, and I can't tell you, I don't remember so much the alcohol having an effect, it was just a thrill of being able to pull it off. You know, we thought we were pulling it off, you know. We didn't know that every time she did it, she would call her dad and tell him, you know, we thought we was getting away with it, but we never did. He never said nothing either, you know. But I remember too, there was, got interested in motorcycles and started racing motorcycles. Discovered there were young ladies that like to ride on motorcycles, you know. And then we started drinking, and it started out just having some beers after work, and then, you know, no harm done to it. I went down to the place where we always met up at, looked around, and all my buddies and all, they all got married and moved into duplexes. You know. I mean, where I live, that's what you did. You got married and you moved into a duplex on the sand road. You don't have dirt roads or gravel roads, or everything is sand down there, you know. So I didn't know what else to do, so that's what I did. You know, I've been seeing this girl for about 2 years. And, you know, asked her to marry me, and can't tell you to this day why she said yeah, but she did, you know. And we were married for 2 years. The only good thing that I can say come out of that marriage is there's a boy up in Maryland up there, he's 45. Great big old little fella, you know, 6'5", something like that, about 280. He called me Dad. He called me Dad. We talk at least once a week, Dad. I'm grateful for that. But that's an important time in my life because I found myself 20 years old. And at that point, I knew that I began to drink alcoholically at 20 years old. I knew I was. I knew when I'd start, but I never knew when I would quit. 3 things and only 3 things that caused me to quit. Right? One of them is, I already told you about, the LGP boys would find me, I'd get locked up, you know. The second one is, I'd pass out somewhere. And of the 3, the last one is by far the worst. I wouldn't manage it right, I'd run out. And of the 3, that was the worst. Running out was the worst. We were talking in the night, I was the longest time I've ever spent. They said, I told them the longest 4 hours I ever spent was between 5 a.m. and 5 a.m. You know, couldn't get one until 9 o'clock that morning. And that was the longest 4 hours I've ever lived in my life, man. Waiting on that store to open up so I could get something. You know? those were the only three things that would cause me to stop, and it was that way until I walked through the doors of alcohol. You know, I started contracting business down there and drank it up. We were well for the first couple of years, and then I managed to drink it up. You know. It got so bad in Florida that I couldn't get in there. Beat that 3 times. Then everywhere I'd show up, you know. Looking back on it, I couldn't really think, but I was not good at work, you know. Getting distracted on the way to work. Get distracted, you know. And then I get thirsty. You have to stop and get something to drink, you know. The next thing is to get about work, that's the all right, you know. And I disappeared, you know. And as I drank, I became a binge drinker. I drank as much as I could hold, as often as I could get it. There were two things in my life at that time to go good together. One was drinking, and the other one was riding, you know, traveling. I drank a lot of traveling, you know. I don't know if any of y'all ever drink that, but them two just go together like peanut butter and jelly. You know, just drink and ride, peanut butter and jelly. There was always something better happening somewhere else. I got a good friend of mine, her name is Jan, and some of you may know her. And she described me to a T one time before we gave her talk. She said she had trouble leaving and coming back on the same day. And I had the same problem. You know that? I couldn't seem to make it back on the same day. Yeah. You know? I couldn't do it. The judge chased me out of Florida. I found out, I'm adopted by the way, and I found out that I had 4 brothers in Charlotte, North Carolina. You know, and that day the judge told me, he said, I'm going to send my, to finish the conversation, he said, this is what ended the conversation that day. He said, I'm going to send my deputy by your house in the morning, and you better not be there. It seemed like Charlotte was a good place to go at the time, you know, instead of seeing the brother. You know. So I loaded up everything I had, the trash bag, and one of the old Samsonite suitcase, kind of gorillas used to beat up on, you know what I mean? I took off. I never even get the greatest sign I ever saw, billboard I ever saw, was a big old green on the side of I-95 that said, welcome to Georgia. Welcome to Georgia. I made it up here, I'll never forget, I made it up here on Halloween Day, 1987. I woke up, my brother's house, looked out the window, it was snowing, man. I mean, like picture book snow, big, beautiful snowflakes, you know, snowing like everywhere. Did I tell you I grew up in South Florida? It don't snow in South Florida. You know? We don't have winter clothes. This is a winter coat what I've got on in South Florida. Man, I want y'all to know I got cold on Halloween Day, 1987, and I stayed cold until about the middle of June of 1988 before I ever got cold. And I couldn't stand North Carolina. I thought, man, if I ever get up money, I'm out of here. I ain't never come to this place again. So here I am, 37 years later, I'm still here. I got a good job. Big truck builder in Charlotte, was doing well with them, moving up the ladder and all that stuff. Met this young lady, I went to my favorite water hole one night, called Willie T's down on Central Avenue in Charlotte. Saturday night, I'll never forget it. I walked in that place, and there was a young lady sitting there by herself at the bar. And man, I grew up in South Florida. I seen about everything I thought, but I never seen anything like that before. Never. This girl had auburn hair cut down to her shoulders. She had blue eyes. She had little hidden freckles right across here, right on the bridge of her nose. She had a dimple in her little cheek. I never seen anything like that before. They didn't have stuff like that in South Florida, you know. They didn't have it. And of course, there ain't a big look at that point. I became willing to do a new length, you know what I mean? We started seeing each other. If I survived till August of this year, We've been married 36 years together. It's by you people and God's grace, that's fine. So everybody's fine.
Wow, it's pretty crazy.
You know? I'm fortunate, I'm married to the prettiest girl I ever laid out. Still ain't. Still ain't. We got about a year. We moved up to a place called Cornelius, North Carolina, on the lake. We were together about a year, and she come in one night, but I was, you know, and I had a hangover that night. I remember that. It was a Monday night. I had a horrible hangover. I had to kind of, I don't know if y'all ever had a hangover like this, but I had to kind of hangover like everybody just here she comes. Oh man, not again. I'm thinking, I don't know if you're this man. And she said, I called the number of Alcoholics Anonymous in the phone book. There's a meeting tomorrow night. And either you got to go to that meeting or I'm going to leave. The first thing that comes to my mind is, thank God, that you have the time. And the second thing that went through my mind was, if she leaves, somebody's going to have to tell Pop. And I knew who somebody was, and I knew what Pop was going to say. Because we done had this conversation thousands of times. Pop was going to say, if you wouldn't act the way you act, she'd still be there. If you wouldn't drink the way you drink, she'd still be here. Because, see, at that time in our relationship, Pop, which was what we called my dad, he liked my mom Jane a whole lot better than he liked me. He just thought she was the greatest thing since Tootsie Rolls, and he remembers when they came out with them, you know. See, I was just a drunk, you know. So I agreed to go to this AA thing, because I couldn't figure out any way to get out of it, you know. And I don't remember what I remember. It was a Tuesday night, or sometime in the early night. That's all I remember. And there were 4 or 5 people sitting around those little white tables, just like those, and they had the little white cups that you see, and they were laughing and giggling and carrying on. And we walked in the door, and there was a screen door there. I opened up the door, hold it for my wife to go in, and stepped in behind it. And people asked me at that moment, was there anything that I was afraid of? I could have said with all honesty, there's nothing on this earth that I was afraid of. Nothing. And that door slammed, and when it did, I jumped about that high. What I didn't realize at the time is I was terrified of everybody, and I didn't know that. I was the only one that didn't know it. I was scared to death, and I didn't know it. And every time I opened up a can of beer, I took 12 ounces of beer and poured it into a bottle of a man that was terrified, which is kind of similar to throwing kerosene on the fire. You know, just inevitably bombs going to go off, you know. We had the meeting. They said, this is a closed meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. And we said, what is that? Because we didn't know what it was. They said, it's for alcoholics only. We got up to excuse ourselves and apologize for interrupting our meeting and all that to leave. And they said, no, we sit down. So we did it. And y'all know anything about football?
Yeah.
In between each play, the teams get in what they call a huddle and figure out what they're going to do for the next play. And that's what they did. They all went to the other end of the room and they all got in the huddle. And you could hear them whispering over there. Everywhere they say, but you could hear them go. Every once in a while, one of them stick his head up. And then they whisper. Then another one. They whisper some more. And finally, they all come back. And so, well, we have a group conscience, and just for tonight, we're going to make this an open meeting, and we thank the people. What is that? We don't know what that is. That means anybody can come, have a seat, y'all are welcome. The meeting started, and it ended, I have no idea what we were talking about. I know it did change that night, it changed me forever. My life changed that night. We all stood up, and they all held hands, and they waited for us to figure out what they were doing. I wasn't too keen on holding hands with men at the time, you know what I mean? Didn't like that. But they said the Lord's Prayer. And at the end of it, we all said amen. Every single person in the room, every one of them, come up to me that night, stuck their hand out like this, and said the dumbest thing I've ever heard them say in my life. They said, I'm glad to see you. We hope you'll come back. Every single one of them told me that. I'm glad to see you. Hope you'll come back. So I joined that something. I didn't know where else to go, you know. My wife was wanting me to leave. My dad didn't like me. The only place that I could come back was Alcoholics Anonymous. So I went back, you know. Messed around a couple of months picking up white chips. I'd go a week or two, pick up a white chip, drink a week or two, pick up another white chip, go for a week or two, drink for a week or two, and on and on and on. Until it got to the point where something had to give. That Wednesday night, July 12th, I went to the Long Creek group of Alcoholics Anonymous. They put me in the beginners group, and took me downstairs. We didn't let me sit up front with the rest of them. Took me downstairs to the beginners group that night. You know, and I was giving them my best side story. You know, the best one I had, you know, you had the job I had, the wife I had, the dog that I had, the car that I had. You had all the things I had going wrong. You'd drink too. I had a week down the palm of my hand. All but one. There's one in every crowd. I don't care where he is. Always one in every crowd. That particular night, that one's name, his name was Harry. Harry looked me in the eye and he said, boy, he said, you want help? He said, we can help you. We'll buy you a can of beer. Give you a ride down the detox. That's all the help you're going to get tonight. He said, man, you're drunk. You're drunk right now. You'll still be drunk tomorrow. I don't even know why they even let you in. My life changed that night because Harry made me mad. I wanted to get up and not live. I wanted to punch him in the next week. That's what I wanted to do, you know. But then that drunk thing kicked in, you know, all drunks got this same thing, you know, I'll show you, man. I'll show you, you know. I'll show you. I picked up my last 30-day shift to Long Creek group of Alcoholics Anonymous just to spite that old man. Oh, just to spite that old man. They said I needed a sponsor, so I got a sponsor. His name was Charlie. And I've had 4 sponsors in the head. I've got something in each one of them. But Charlie taught me the one thing I didn't know how to do. For a full year, I learned how to not drink. And that's what I learned. My first year in sobriety, I learned how to not drink because I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to not drink. Everything I did revolved around drinking at some point or another. Charlie taught me how to not drink. You know? Bob and my wife Jane, they got together and they bought a house in a place called Sherrills Ford, North Carolina. Y'all don't know where that is? It's on the west side of Lake Norman. It used to be a suburb of Denver, but now I think it's bigger than Denver now. Anyway, that's where it is. And we bought a house over there. They bought a house, you know. What happened was when my dad bought my wife a house, and my job was to take care of the house so she could live. And at that time, they had 2 meetings on the west side of AA. They had this great big giant meeting called the Denver Group. It was standing room only in there every night. Standing room only. And they had this little itty-bitty meeting called the Fairfield Group. Ted and I, we'd been to the Denver Group a couple times. And one Thursday night, we go down to the Fairfield Group. And there was an elderly gentleman there. One of the biggest gas grill I've ever seen. I've never seen one that big since. That thing was longer than a pickup truck. And he was grilling T-bone steaks. He told us, he said, yeah, y'all come on in. We got plenty. Go over and get you a steak. Fix you a plate and eat it. we sat down and we ate our steaks. A few minutes went by, he brought another steak by. He said, Dean, that here tonight, go ahead and eat his too. And when he did, I looked at my wife and said, Jackie, I think we've been on the home. And there was everything, you know. We didn't know that they were having an anniversary party. We didn't know that was on. We didn't know what that was anyway, you know. But there was a man there, if that makes, his name was Don. He was my second sponsor of the He was very well dressed, very well spoken, elderly gentleman. He knew the big book, he studied the big book. He didn't just read it, he studied that book. And he had something. You can look at his eyes and see, this man had something. I didn't know what it was. I just knew that whatever it was, I wanted it. Whatever he had, I wanted it, you know. And I asked him if he would sponsor me, and he said, yeah, maybe. So we'll try it and see. So we started reading the book. That would amount to me reading the hymn, and he was dumb, and I had to read it to him 4 or 5 times before he'd catch on, you know? He taught me the 12 steps of AA. He taught me steps 1, 2, and 3. Were designed to get me into a relationship with a God that I didn't know anything about. Along somewhere in this time, we picked up an interpreter. Don was very well spoken, very well educated. This other man, the interpreter, the co-sponsor, as he likes to call himself, and they did. You know? And I'm so grateful for them two guys, because Don understood the big book, and he could tell Dick what it said, and then Dick would turn around and tell me what it said. In the language that I understood. You know? Dick used a lot of short, 4-letter words when he talked, and I understood exactly what he was saying. You know? His interpretation was the third step, and boy, all you need to know is there is a God, and you ain't it. It was enough. And Don and I worked the second step. I told him, I don't believe in God. And Don, I figured he'd say something brilliant, you know. He looked at me and he said, so? I said, you don't care I don't believe in God? He said, man, be honest. He said, I could care less what you believe in. So let me ask you a question. He said, do you believe that I believe? I said, yes, I do. He said, we can start with that. We can work with that. We got to the third step. He asked me a question. He said, do you know what you're doing when you're turning your will to your life over to God? Do you understand? Do you know what that is? You know what you're doing? And I rattled out some mumbo jumbo, and he just had wiped out and walked off. The next time I saw him, he said, boy, he said, your will is your thoughts. Your life is nothing more than the history of your past actions. You're making the decision to turn your thoughts and your actions over to the care of God that you don't have over life. First 3 steps designed to get me right and get me started on a relationship with God that I don't know nothing about. Step 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, most of our time. I learned from God are designed to get me right with me, you know, clear away the record in the past. Find out what my defects are, ask for help with it. The 6th step is kind of tricky. You know, because it says became willing to have, you know, we're entirely ready to have all these defects removed. Some of those I didn't want to get rid of. I like them all the defects. My church and these folks are kind of like that. As long as they offended you, not me, I ain't care. I don't care. I'm not willing to do anything about my church and these folks until they become offensive to me. But they become a problem and only then am I willing to do anything about it. It tells me what to do. I'm going to ask him to remove. Good cut direction. And this is what you do. Designed to get me right with me. part of step 9, the last 3 steps are designed to allow me to get along with you. There's a reason for that. What I learned was, if I can't get along with God, and I can't get along with me, how in the world can you expect me to get along with you? I'm coming to you and asking you to like somebody that I don't like. I'm going to do it. It ain't possible. I can't do it. My co-sponsor then was big, but what I learned from him was how to take the 12 principles of Alcoholics Anonymous and apply them in everyday life. He wasn't the kind of tell me, you do this, you do that. He was like, this is what you do, and then he would show me how to do it. He would show me. He led by example. He didn't talk, he led by example. A lot of things have happened this thing. I've been sober a lot longer than I've been drunk long, but let me tell you this. On Christmas morning, 2:30 Christmas morning, as a matter of fact, 1992, my wife woke me up around this house. She's like, get up, it's cool. I'm like, what, are you crazy? What's wrong with you? It's 2:30 in the morning. Get up. You gotta take me to the hospital. You see, she's pregnant with our first boy. I get up, have to sleep, trying to pour a cup of coffee and go down the door and coffee ain't making some of it made it in your company or what. Not enough to get to the door. We got that hospital, we sit there, we come back. Well, Christmas Day, 1992. Merry Christmas. Hey, Dudley down there, this is God talking. Merry Christmas to you, man. You know? Another time come around, February 19th, my wife gets me up at 9 o'clock at night. She said, we better go to the hospital. We go to the hospital. And man, I saw something else I've never seen before. She had all over me. She had a ring of freckles right across the line. She got a dimple in the right cheek. And she said, Daddy. And when she does, that's it. I'm done. You know, it's all over. You can't say no to that. Come on, man. So I got 3 children. One of them remembers me as, that's how you used to be. That guy's like how you used to be. The other 2, by the grace of God, have never, ever, ever seen me take a break. I have 3 grandchildren. They have never seen me take a break. In fact, as soon as we're done here, I'm going home. And the greatest son I know is a little granddaughter. She'll come up and go, Grandpa! It's done. I'm done, man. You know? I'm done. It's over. All of that happened and so much more. And then we have a small business. I work with my youngest son and my wife and my youngest son. And occasionally, part-time, my 4-year-old grandson comes out. I can go by and get that 4-year-old grandson anytime I want. All I gotta do is pick up the phone and say, I'm coming to get it. Come on. There was a time when my wife wouldn't let me leave the house with my own son. Now they're like, come on. You want to take both of them? No, I can't do that. I ain't got the seat for one. I love to, but I only got the seat for one. I got a picture of myself on coming from here to here, strawberry ice cream. Yeah. Sitting there with a granddaughter, they're like, man, she's getting it all over. I'm like, so? That's what the washing machine is for. You don't miss stuff like this, you know. It's all stuff like that. What's really strange is, all these things and so many more. Like I said, if I live in August, my wife and I will celebrate 36 years of marriage together. We're still together. I've been married to 3 different women in 36 years, never been divorced. Think about it. I'm most grateful to be here this afternoon. I want to thank Joe for having me. thank Alan for introducing me instead of having to make some kind of excuse for me. I'm grateful to you people because it was people just like you and rooms just like y'all go through all night that allowed me to do this afternoon. For that, I will be forever grateful. May God bless all of you.
Thank you, brother.
Kill it, man.
Well, thank you, Andy. Great stuff.
It's awesome.
36 years, huh?